This is Cattleya lueddemanniana. It's a species from Venezuela, and it grows all along the northernmost part of the country, around the coastal areas at about 10 degrees north latitude. And the range extends from east to west, and then up from the coast up into the mountains. So there are two sort of different types that range from, well, I'd say two extremes of the species, ranging from very light colored flowers with sort of a washed out yellow in the lip, with larger flowers that are better shaped. And then the other extreme is the dark colored flowers with the bright yellow in the lip, and the flowers are smaller. The plants have thicker, more leathery leaves, and then there's the middle sort of intermediate form that's the typical lavender pink with like a medium yellow, and it's just like a regular lavender Cattleya. So between the two types on the extremes, the light and the dark, they grow in slightly different habitats. Overall, this is a warm growing species, so it would do well in your home. Like phalaenopsis type conditions, that's how mine's been growing, of course with much higher light, but same kind of temperature ranges. I'll put all the information in the description along with some links to some good articles, or at least one really good article. Now, I do want to talk about, the two different habitats. Oh, my color's washing out because the sun's coming up. The darker ones grow slightly cooler and slightly drier than the larger flowered, lighter colored plants. The substance of these is not that great, and so they don't last as long. They're a little thinner than a lot of other Cattleyas, from what I've read, and also, which is true of this one, substance is not that great. And I wanted to say, I think that these plants are generally a bit smaller than other standard Cattleya species. This one certainly is, let's see, kind of small. It's about, from the tip of the leaf to the bottom of the growth, I think is about 12 to 14 inches. The pseudobulb, well, no, that's got to be maybe 14 inches, but it's not very tall. It's about a foot tall, and the lighter colored form doesn't need as much light as the darker colored form. There's a really good webinar on the AOS website for members that talks about the species, where it grows, and also the fact that the darker flowers are usually needing more light than the lighter flowered types. And it took me so long to get this species because in the Chadwick book, the classic Cattleays, it says that this species is one of the most light demanding species and needs even more than Gigas. So I never thought I could grow this until I got my LEDs recently, but I'm starting to think that you could probably grow a light pink variety under T5 high outputs. And because this doesn't need as much light as my other ones, it's not been getting huge amounts of light. It gets like high light, but not the really high light in my grow room. So I think it would do okay under T5 high output lights, and also because it's shorter, I think it's a smaller kind of plant, so I think it would do well under there. So if you have those and you want to try this species, look for a light colored one or one with the regular lavender. And I've also seen this species listed like for sale with, and it said that the light requirements were low to medium, and then I don't know, but the Chadwick book says that it needs the highest light. But you'll know if it's getting enough light because the new growth gets anthracene and purple spotting really it's really pronounced on this species. So if you're seeing that in the new growth, that's a good sign. It does kind of go away after the growths mature. See, it's not on any of these other ones. And so that's a good sign, and also just the leaves being a light medium green is also will tell you that if your plant is getting enough light or not. So, super easy to grow too. It doesn't seem to be, I don't know, it just does well. It does well with the neglect that I give it, because it's from a drier sort of area that gets less water. It might do well in slightly lower humidity also, but yeah, overall, I'm kicking myself for not ever trying this species before, because it's really wonderful. The fragrance is the best. My Cattleya Time Life has a huge amount of mossy eye in it, but it doesn't smell, it smells like this. When this bloomed, I was like, ooh, I recognize that fragrance, and it's my Time Life smells like this. So, yeah, I don't know, this is my favorite fragrance. I kept that plant all this time because the fragrance on that is the best, even though the flowers aren't that great of a shape. But, now I know where the fragrance comes from. So, if I had to choose only 2 Cattleya species to grow under lights, I would pick this one, and I would pick Genmanii, because that one's got really good fragrance, and it is short also, and it doesn't need crazy highlight either. It needs highlight, but I think that one might do well under T5 high output. So, yeah, so despite the fact that the flowers don't last too long, they do last for at least 2 weeks. I'm sort of wishing now that I'd pulled out my records and actually checked the date of when this opened. But it's a beautiful species. It smells great. It's easy. So what is there to not love about this? Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to say. Oh yeah, the Ceruleas and albas and semi-albas generally come from the same type of habitat where the light-colored varieties come from. So if you're not into light pink, but you like those other color combinations, same kind of culture for that habitat, and you'll probably have better shaped, larger flowers too. Also, this plant does not. The flowers on this suck. They're not very good shaped. They're not very flat. I don't know, they're starting to look a little better than what I initially felt, but I was not pleased when these opened. I'll just say that. I was kind of disappointed. And I did accidentally knock the plant over, so this dorsal sepal got skewed, so that's why it's all tipped over. But I don't like the lip on this one. The lip on this one is better because it doesn't do that halfway folded thing. But I know too that this is just a tiny plant, and it's a first time blooming, and that when the plant gets bigger and stronger and older, that the flower quality will probably improve, because that factor can change the way flowers look to a huge extent. And it's really kind of almost unbelievable how much better the shape and substance and all of those things can get on a strong plant. So I'm definitely not tossing this in the garbage. And it's also got good parents. It's Leslie and Hyde, and I think one of those is an AM and the other one is an SVCN, I want to say. I think. Anyway, thank you for watching. I wish you could smell this. If you ever get a chance to pick one of these up, get a blooming size one or a near blooming size one, and man, check out that fragrance, because it is amazing. Also, one other thing about fragrance I have noticed, might not be true for this species, might not be true at all, but I have noticed some species that are alba or semi-alba seem to have less fragrance than colored flowers. That's true of my semi-alba maxima, It is true of Brad's Encyclopedia radiata alba. I think it's a radiata. I was like, does that have any fragrance? And he said, no. And I have a mossy eye semi-alba that doesn't have very much fragrance, but I don't have another darker mossy eye to compare it with, so I don't know for a fact if that one is normal or not. But if you do want fragrance, get one with color, because that might be connected some way with anthocyanin, that purple pigment, and yeah, so check that out. Oh, also, I smelt a Cattleya lueddemanniana, and it didn't have very much fragrance, and that was at a show. And so, and Cerulea sometimes don't have anthocyanin in the leaves, so that might be a thing. Or those flowers were also kind of on their way out a little bit, so there wasn't a ton of fragrance. So that either one of those factors could have been the reason why. But do go for a pink if you're interested in fragrance. I think your chances of having fragrance are better with pinks. So yeah, like I said, that could be just me making stuff up and seeing patterns where there aren't really any, but it could be a thing, and so I think it might be a safer bet to get a pink if you want fragrance. That said, I am off. I'm going to make another video about my Angraecum Lemford White Beauty and Bosserai that are in bloom right now. So I thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know. All of that stuff. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching.